Welcome back, viewers. Now, imagine being in one of the cities that sends the most immigrants to the US every year for jobs and education, and yet traveling miles just for a minor visa-related issue. Bengaluru, of course, has been long awaiting a US consulate, which is yet to be set up in the city, despite the US making a formal announcement about it last year itself. And now, BJP MP Tejasvi Surya, who's been, of course, leading the demand for years, has slammed the Karnataka state government, alleging its failure to provide essential infrastructure for the establishment of this proposed US consulate in Bengaluru. Tejasvi says that despite receiving an in-principle approval from the United States and completion of necessary groundwork by the central government, the state government's lack of action has hindered the consulate's operationalization. Now, more importantly here, in fact, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar had also earlier revealed that MP had been bringing up this issue during their conversations time and again, and had also then met the US ambassador to formally request the same. Now, there was a subsequent announcement from the United States during Prime Minister Modi's visit to the US last year as well. Now, Tejasvi Surya says that the project is yet to take off only because of the state Congress government's lackadaisical approach. Let's listen to what he said.
The demand for a US consulate in Bengaluru is a very old one, which was finally met and successfully completed, like many other pending things under the Narendra Modi government. So when the Prime Minister made his visit to the United States last year, the government of United States committed to opening a US consulate in Bengaluru. When the Honorable External Affairs Minister was in the city, he again reiterated that efforts would be made, all support would be given by the Government of India to establish this consulate in Bengaluru. And the Government of India has followed up on its promise. However, since the time of this announcement, from the last 8-9 months, the state government in Karnataka has not taken any effort whatsoever to make this a reality. It is the state government's responsibility to communicate with the authorities, provide them with infrastructure, provide them with the necessary support to get this done. I can tell you very categorically that till now, not a single official communication has been made by the government of Karnataka to the US authorities. But the ministers of the government of Karnataka are more busy in trying to take credit, steal credit for this, and are repeatedly making statements that very soon we may get a US consulate, we may, quote unquote, when it is already a sanctioned, in principle sanctioned project. So the responsibility primarily lies now. The union government has done its job. We have got the in-principle agreement from the US authorities. Now it is the responsibility of the state government to not just make media statements, but to immediately approach the authorities of the United States government here in India and get this done by promising the necessary infrastructure and other things that are necessary.
Let me open this up. We are also soon going to be joined in by Tejasvi himself, is what I've been told. Meanwhile, Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda from the BJP is also with us today. Advocate Umar Junaidi, political analyst with us. Vijay Grover, senior journalist, also joining us. The Congress has refused to join on this particular issue. But of course, we are also awaiting a detailed response coming in from the government to this charge of Tejasvi Surya. I'll take this question across to Umar Junaidi first. Mr. Junaidi, this is a long-standing demand of the people of Bengaluru. But right now, it seems like politics is slowly creeping in. Is this going to become yet another topic for the state versus centre? Because this shouldn't be technically, and this is something that the people of the state, in fact, it's not just for the city of Bengaluru, for the entire state of Karnataka. Right now getting a US visa means going all the way to Chennai, and having a consulate here would be helpful. While state government representatives, of course, have been talking about it, that they're putting in efforts, Tejasvi Surya here claims that in writing or in correspondence, there's been nothing really that has been communicated to, the US government or the consulate here.
Good evening, Deepak. As we know that the 2024 elections are near, and Tejasvi Surya, who is famous for his statements rather the development, tries to divert the issue wherein he says that I was a person who brought this under the Modi government and all. Since 2020, it's going on, and the year 2023, it's get approved what he claims. And recently, last month, the minister was in the city, and he said a new approach will be made. I would communicate to the U.S. ambassador to set up the consulate as fast as possible. So these are the statements which shows that the Tejasvi Surya is only trying to target Congress for the delay. But the thing is, the Congress is very much interested in the project and in the welfare of the public of the Karnataka, and it takes time for everything to be set it up. If it's Tejasvi Surya who is trying to have a US consulate in Bengaluru from 2022 and 2020, and it's get approved in 23, so why can't he just wait for another 1 or 2 months or 3 months, whatever? But why he is raising the point is, as soon as it gets
Well, it's
complete,
not the
he'll take the
question of him
credit and he'll
waiting
show in the
here,
market.
Mr. Junaidi. It's not the question of him waiting here. The question is for the people. How long do they have to wait? Because if there has already been an agreement from the United States, if the center has done its duty, and if right now the responsibility lies with the state to, clear certain formalities, given land, infrastructure, and all things that are necessary for the consulate, why shouldn't it be done? Why should there be a delay? Is a question that comes up. And is there a delay from the state government? A response hasn't come in. We are waiting for that as well. Mr. Junaidi.
And everything requires time. The very moment it gets approved, the BJP in Karnataka tries to question and to get Congress into the witness box, wherein you have so much of time. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this and all? It's 8 to 9 months that the Congress government is into power in Karnataka, and Congress is focusing on the 5 guarantees which have been given to the public before the elections, and they are fulfilling it. Everything has a stage wherein everything will be done for the public, and Congress is interested for the welfare of Karnataka. And this is what the intention is. They are trying hard, their best to get the investments, to get all the facilities for the people of Karnataka. So it takes time, Deepak. The question of Tejasvi Surya claiming that it has been done, and the Congress government doesn't seem to be interested in US consolidate. Consolidate is not the point to be discussed. The major point is Karnataka is very much interested for the welfare of Kannadigas, and very soon we will be having a US consulate in Bengaluru.
Okay, Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, do you think that response was, somewhere quite vague? I thought what Mr. Junaidi was saying, but now we are waiting for the official response from the government as well to come in, because this is a very important issue that people, of course, have been time and again referring to. And we've seen a lot being spoken about from the Prime Minister, from the External Affairs Minister. Now this latest jibe that has come in from Tejasvi Surya, what do you make of it, and how as far as the BJP's responsibility in itself is concerned, how do we look at that aspect? Because it's just been 6 months since the Congress has come to power really here.
Thanks, Deepak. The Siddaramaiah-led Congress government doesn't believe in developmental politics, doesn't believe in welfareistic politics, doesn't believe in development of our state. Siddaramaiah-led Congress government only believes in appeasement politics and staging drama to divert the mood and tempo of the country for his own administrative inactions, for his own administrative failures, for his own fiasco as a CM and his governmental failure. Bengaluru is a global city. US consulate has given in principle approval for, US government has given in principle approval for building a US consulate in Bangalore is a matter of pride for every Kannadiga. But Siddaramaiah-led Congress government has failed to provide the necessary land allocation, the necessary thing they would have otherwise ought to have done. They failed as a state. They failed as a government after having gotten a necessary approval from the central government, necessary in principle approval from the US government. It's a matter of shame when they are busy doing the appeasement politics, when they are diverting so much funds from the SC/ST community, and they are saying that they will utilize the same for the Muslim community, for the betterment of the Muslim community. I don't know what are they trying to prove, but it's really administrative fiasco of his government, administrative failure, administrative paralysis for the per se. They've done ever since he came to power. I would like to request the political analyst to name a single developmental program, single welfareistic scheme they have staged and they have designed for the betterment of the society, rather than doing and awfully fulfilling. And they've promised 5 guarantees, and half of them they could not provide to the people. They're only giving, partially implementing, but they're boasting of themselves that they've implemented the guarantees and this and all. Yes, our Karnataka people, a bottom 20 quintile of our population really needed that guarantees, but they failed to provide that also. They failed as a government, they failed as a welfareistic government, they failed, they're known only for their disruptive politics, which is not required, which is not the need of the hour. When the people of Karnataka are suffering from the developmental deficit, they are busy doing their appeasement politics, they are busy doing their disruptive politics, they're busy doing their party politics, they're busy saving INJA block ahead of the Lok Sabha election, which has already been broken, which is already most fractured, which is most myopic. They're only busy preparing for the Lok Sabha polls, winning maximum number of seats. It is their distant dream. People of Karnataka have realized their drama, their hypocritic face, that they promised all the 5 guarantees just to come to the power, when they don't have this revenue source of revenue to fulfill their guarantees. When we have
also,
received
like I asked you towards the end there, Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda, that has this really come down to the last 6 months? Because construction of a consulate, setting up of a consulate, or rather giving a building and the infrastructure, this is a long drawn procedure and process. And of course, the dialogue has been going on for quite some time. There has been conversations between the US and India.
But they failed to lay the roadmap.
The question here was, has everything boiled down to the last 6 months? I'll come back to you, but I also want to bring in Vijay Grover as well here. And then I'll come back to you. Let me get in a perspective from Mr. Vijay Grover. Mr. Grover, how are you looking at this sort of a statement coming just, weeks ahead of the Lok Sabha elections?
Well, see, this is a kind of statement which is just, a part of, the kind of effort that Tejasvi Surya made today, because, today he had a presentation on his achievements as a member of parliament. And, at end of it, on the sidelines, he gave the statement about this particular issue and said that, he's been trying and he's been working. Incidentally, I'm sure you also have seen the papers were flooded yesterday with the US trade delegation of several institutions and the High Commission meeting Priyank Kharge and discussing the progress of this consulate which needs to be set up in Bangalore. Let's forget the politics, because the BJP spokesperson, the way she was talking about the Muslim and appeasement, I don't know where this figures into this kind of debate. But the fact remains that, coincidentally, I've had a discussion on this with a couple of intelligence officers in the last 3-4 weeks, and there have been 3 spots which, factually, I can tell, have been identified for this consulate, and that should take shape by about June, is what my information says. The first space that was offered to them was in the World Trade Center, but because of security reason and the other consulates being there, I believe the US delegation had shot that down. And after that, Whitefield was chosen as thing because the number of desk space that the US authorities want is much bigger and is not available in the kind of city center is the factual thing on which discussions are on. Intelligence officers of the state government, of the central agencies, and the US government have been discussing on all these aspects, and hopefully they should be able to give a final report after they give the security clearances from all the 3 sides that the place could be finalized, and that's something which should happen in the next couple of months. So politics apart, politicians' job is to play politics on everything and try to take credit. But the fact is that, US consulate in Bengaluru is much needed for the simple fact that we have a lot of students who go from here for the US colleges. We have a lot of, tech professionals who need to shift there for, long term to work. for the H-1B visas, and it's difficult to go to Chennai and, get, because the waiting periods are very long. But the fact is, as far as I know, this is something that should be
Yeah.
sorted out in the next couple of months. And, while everybody is trying to take credit, and Tejasvi Surya today is taking it up, because South Bengaluru, the constituency that he represents, 1 in every 50 houses somebody has in the US as a relative or a family member who's in the US, especially in areas like Jayanagar, JP Nagar, or Kormangla. And, that is the kind of, vote bank that Tejasvi Surya was trying to reach out to by this kind of statement. And, clearly there is politics at play on this entire thing. But I think so on these kind of issues, politicians should just
Okay.
keep politics aside, work as a country, and ensure that, whatever is needed to set up this kind of infrastructure in Bangalore city, there should be no, I take credit or you take credit or that kind of thing attitude in this.
Right. I'll go back to Dr. Lakshmi Ashwin Gowda here. Dr. Gowda, we were talking about how whether it boils down to the last 6 minutes, and Mr. Grover here did, say that politicians at the end of the day will play politics. But at the end, when you look at an issue like this is something that could come into picture as far as Lok Sabha is concerned, because there is a large population, of course, that looks to migrate to the US. There's also a large population which already has family living there. They time and again require visa facilities, and any government, be it the state, and more importantly, of course, the center, would want to really take credit in this, because this is something that all the talks happen at the central level, but the state government will want to do its bit as well, being known as the hub where there are a lot of tech giants operating here, and more importantly to, provide for a setup for the US consulate would be important. But, the aspect here is there too much politics, too much blame game, and more importantly, a credit war that's going on between the BJP and the Congress?
It's not about taking a credit. It's about our political diplomacy. It is about Narendra Modi-led BJP government's political diplomatic success at the global stage. See, our increased engagement with the developed world that has only attracted our country, that has only given so much leverage as a country because of our the larger than life image of our prime minister and his popularity and our diplomatic stand. From the last 10 years, we have been following the multi-alignment strategy when we were following a non-alignment strategy from about 5 to 6 decades. We have shifted to multi-alignment strategy, and it is yielding the benefits now. It is yielding the fruits now. See, because of our increased engagement with the rest of the world, it is only, isn't it our political diplomacy that has saved 8 Navy officials from the gallows? Isn't it our political diplomacy, our diplomatic stand that has increased the image of our country in the global forums? Isn't it our political diplomacy? Is it taking just credit about constructing a US consulate, or our increased engagement with the rest of the world? It is called the diplomatic prowess of our government. It is not taking the credit. See, when the Bangalore city is just 6 hours away from the Chennai city, it was a US consulate didn't think that it was necessary to build a US consulate in Bengaluru. But because of our Narendra Modi-led government and Mr. Jaishankar's engagement and his diplomatic prowess has yielded the result now. Isn't it so?
Yes. Quickly, I'll get in a response from Mr. Junaidi, and I'll have to come to a wrap.
Deepak, as soon as I completed my statement, you said you found it vague, but the senior journalist Vijay, clearly said that why Tejasvi Surya is interested in the US consulate at Bengaluru, and what BJP is trying to. But the direction the spokesperson of BJP is taking, everything seems like everything has been done only in 10 years. The development, the diplomacy, the policies with the foreign countries, all were developed in 10 years, and that had yielded the result. And the US consulate in Chennai wasn't there. In the other consulates in India wasn't there before 2014. Everything happened after 2014 is what she tried to say. But the fact is, the Congress is for the welfare of the people of India, and in Karnataka, the Siddaramaiah government is working for the welfare of Karnataka and Kannadigas. That's the main point. And And the US consulate will be as soon as possible ready, and it will be in front of us in Karnataka, which will be benefiting people. And what Tejasvi Surya is trying to claim the credit, I hope this credit won't be given to
Well,
Tejasvi Surya by the
Mr.
people of
Junedi, that
Karnataka
I
in
said you are
2024.
being vague is because everybody knows now that there is a clearance in principle that has come. Everybody knows in a few weeks, in a few months, it will be ready. The debate has started here because, there is a blame game. There is a charge that the state government is not doing its bit. That's the
That
reason
is
we are
what I
debating
said.
this issue now.
It's a
When you
very
say it's going to
unfortunate
take a
thing.
couple of months, and that's the exact reason why I said it was vague.
It's a
That's
very
what.
unfortunate thing that politicians are trying to take credit for a process which has been there in the pipeline for such a long time. No one individual or one person can actually take credit for it. There are a series of officers who work in tandem to ensure that this facilitation happens, and it's like the politicians should actually come forward magnanimously, and if there is a hurdle which comes in any which way, should be cleared irrespective of political whether we have a Congress-ruled government in the state or we have a BJP-ruled center. That should not be the issue at all. And this facilitation will help thousands of people save thousands of rupees every year. Traveling to Chennai and waiting over there for the visa appointment is not easy. It costs a lot of money for a lot of people. The number of hours that are wasted by IT professionals, all that need to be brought into check. And I'm glad that this thing is now taking shape, and hopefully by end of June, we will not have to travel to Chennai to get any of these visas.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Gowda and the two gentlemen, I'm thanking both of you all for, all the three of you all, in fact, for joining us and discussing this issue. Of course, we'll get a response from the government as soon as possible on the matter too. We are moving on at this point in time.